Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to get right into it. Not much of an intro here like I normally do. We're here to talk about Mark Stoops, Kentucky. They are expected to fire Mark Stoops tomorrow. This is according to Pete Thamel. That great. We waited till every other school hired a new coach then to fire Stoops, but maybe those names like John Sumrall and Alex Golich, maybe they weren't on Kentucky's radar. Maybe, but it's the right choice. Look, I'm not going to fully shit on Mark Stoops because first 9 years were good. Because when he got hired there, Kentucky was in the fucking shitter. They were, my God, awful. First 9 years was really good. And the last 4 just wasn't good. And it was time for a change. He is the best Kentucky's had. I'll say that. Fully confident in saying that. Like, there's been good moments in this Mark Stoops era. He did a lot of great things for the program, but it was time. It's just a simple way to put it. And it's a little sad, but it's the right move. You know, I didn't live through other Kentucky coaching eras. I didn't start watching, and obviously until the Mark Stoops era. But Coach Stoops brought us to new heights to show us that we could have a winning football program, raise the bar on expectations. I look forward. Maybe he could return to the Commonwealth, get a ovation. I'm fully confident saying he's the best coach Kentucky's had. But it was just the right move. Pete Thamel will say Kentucky is expected to fire Coach Mark Stoops, with the process set to formally play out tomorrow. Similar to pay that $37 million buyout. He went 82-80 in 3 seasons, and 13 seasons. Been for a long time, and the all-time winningest coach at the program. But the thing is, last 4 years, I wouldn't be as mad if he wasn't getting paid about like $9 million. He was just too overpaid. He gave UK not 1 but 2 10-win seasons, which hadn't happened in almost 50 years. Hate it ended like this, but I hope the fans will welcome him back down the road at some point. Not as a coach, but like just come back to the stadium. I wish his tenure finished better, but it was time. Maybe it's the NIL that killed him, and I don't know. But at least they did it, and start a coaching search, see where they go. I feel like it is still a little malpractice from Mitch Barnhart. I feel like they should have. You had Sumrall sitting there, and you wait until the day he takes the job to fire Stoops. I feel like you could have done that mid-season, fire Stoops maybe, if you're still going to fire him regardless. At least Mitch Barnhart and them are going to have that, at least fired him, but he should be fired too, honestly. Because gave Calipari a stupid lifetime contract. He was lucky he was able to get out of that, because Calipari, at least he left and went to Arkansas. He went to Arkansas. You shouldn't have gave him a lifetime contract regardless. You give Stoops a stupid contract. I would think Mitch Barnhart should be fired too, but we'll see who they get. Some names that have been mentioned. I done the college football news at the end of the video. Kind of mentioned some guys like Brian Hartline, Will Stein. They have a choice between probably 2 of the best coordinators in the nation. You take your pick. I would hire Brian Hartline if it's me, but who knows? That's just kind of who I'm thinking, but some other names I've heard is like Dan Mullen, Brian Kelly. God, imagine if they hired Brian Kelly, we'd hear that fake Eastern Kentucky accent. You'll never leave Harlan alive. Yeah, they're firing Mark Stoops. Per multiple reports. Early coaching candidates are Will Stein, Brian Hartline, Dan Mullen, Brian Kelly. I would assume those are the 4 I can think off the top of my head. But Wait no more, lady, wait no more. Today we will sing one song for my old Kentucky home. For my old Kentucky home far away. But yeah, this is they're firing him. It's just after weeks of uncertainty and growing signs that a change was coming, they decided to move into a new direction. And he took over in 2013. It's hard to believe he's coached for 13 years. But it was just time. And sure, I think, well, one of those 10-win seasons got took away for some reason, but I'm still going to count as they had a 10-win season, so 82-79 by my count. But yeah, it was just time. They just haven't been good in conference play. Like, they beat the shitty teams, but even if they play close against these top teams, they just find a way to lose. And some of these are just not competitive. I don't know. I said they could afford to fight, and people were like, "Oh, who gonna hire better? How can you afford the buyout?" I said it yesterday. It's not up to the fans. It's for them, for Barnhart, the lawyers and shit to find out. And I called for it. I wanted this to happen last year, and it didn't happen. And I wasn't sure if it was going to happen this offseason either. But a day later, Mark Stoops is expected to be fired. I'm sure he'll get paid his $37 million. And it's just what went wrong the last 4 years. First 9 years were really good for Kentucky. They had 10-win seasons, but what happened the last 4 years? I kind of feel like it might have been maybe kind of the NIL stuff, from kind of like start of the NIL with the NIL era, and maybe not getting that Texas A&M job. Maybe could have started it, not getting that Texas A&M job. The fans are vaulting around it, but he maybe felt like he's kind of a defensive-minded coach, maybe. Like, just, I'm thinking for the good memories. But I don't know who everybody's first choice will be, but they'll owe him more than $37 million per his contract, which is set to be paid out within 60 days. But at least we're free. But I do want to say this. I do think it's a bit of a fumble by the UK Athletics. I think Will Stein was the main target, him or Brian Hartline, but I kind of want John Summerall. Kind of a fumble. And the Florida fans hate John Summerall. They don't deserve him. Like I said in the college football news video, but anyways, back to Mark Stoops. Honestly, I don't think he would have been fired if the Vandy and Louisville games had not been routes where they just, the games were over by halftime, they lose by 30 or 40. They need to get this one right, though. Stoops turned the program around, and then the last few years, they're back where they were. You need someone to elevate. Stoops turned the program around. If Mark Stoops can turn it around, whoever they hire should be able to. They should have fired him a few weeks ago. But I just also think those losses and kind of the nonchalant way he handled the Louisville interview kind of sealed his fate, where he's like, zero chance I'm leaving. You see him smiling. I think that kind of sealed his fate. That's just kind of my opinion. Putting up 0 against Louisville alone was it. If he could have won just one game, I think he was going to be here yet another year. In my opinion. Appreciate what he did, but it's time to move on. Good run, turned mediocre. Let's see what the next guy they bring in. See what he can do. Try and turn this program around. If I had to make a prediction, I would say either maybe Brian Hartline, Will Stein, or Dan Mullen, I would say, or maybe the top three. Letting Mark Stoops go was the right decision. It wasn't easy for Mitch to do, but I want to salute him for a job well done for the majority of his time. He won more than anyone else here since Barry Bryant. But they gotta do a quick search now. I mean, they can't waste any time. He's also lost a lot. But he did really well here until the Texas A&M situation kind of seemed to crush his spirit. He was never the same coach after that. I'm kind of questioning that kind of start the downfall. Was he a bit crushed when he didn't get that Texas A&M job? The most fun I ever had watching Kentucky football was because of what he did. The win at Florida in 2018, something I won't forget. 10-win season, two 10-win seasons. I feel like he was never the same after his A&M debacle. I would watch his body language, and he walked it each time like he didn't want to be there. He never recovered from it. But we'll see what happens, man. But if I want to give you my 5 best candidates, I'll give you them right now. Will Stein is my number 1 candidate. He's been the offensive coordinator there since 2023 under Dan Lanning. He played at Louisville. He's worked his way up the coaching chain as a top offensive mind. 36 years old, has significant ties to the state and school, and that would bring you instant credibility offensively. Next one, obviously, Brian Hartline. A similar approach might bring him to the Bluegrass State. His brother Mike was a quarterback from the Wildcats in 2007. 2010, he was a standout at Ohio State, who had a nice, if injury shortened NFL career. He's only coached Ohio State, but has been the offensive coordinator there for the past 3 seasons. He began calling plays in 2025 at just 39 years old. He's an excellent recruiter and a promising young mind. He could keep Kentucky involved in Ohio, which has been a rich recruiting ground for UK in recent seasons. Dan Mullen's obviously another name. An established coach. Won 10 games at Mississippi State once, did so twice at Florida. Now 10-2 at UNLV. And his career record, he rose to prominence as offensive coordinator at Florida under Urban Meyer's career record is 113-63. The only negatives are that Mullen would likely command a hefty salary. And he's been out of the SEC for a few years, and that required plenty of NIL, but plenty of people in Lexington have been after Mullen for a long while. I could see that. Next one, Neil Brown is a Texas assistant, former West Virginia coach. Stranger picks have worked out, but this is kind of a wild card. Glenn Schumann, Georgia DC. There's been a little talk here, but replacing Stoops might be the best accomplished by following the same basic template as hiring him. Find a top defensive coordinator without head coaching experience, maybe plug him in. But kind of these last two are kind of just wild cards. I think the first two I mentioned, I think probably first 2 or 3 that I mentioned are probably the three most likely. Kentucky has to do a quick search. I think the initial favorite for the job will be Will Stein, but there will be other candidates. But I think Stoops was completely taken off guard by this decision, as seen by his comments in the post-game press conference yesterday. But that's the decision. That's really all I got to say here. So, thanks Mark Stoops for first 9 years, just last 4 years, just went downhill. So yeah, that's really all to say. So, leave a like, come subscribe for more. Till next time, may I like a lot. Peace, and we'll see who Kentucky will hire as their next head coach whenever that happens. I'll be here to talk about it. So yeah, peace. Leave a like, come subscribe for more, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Mark Stoops, who should Kentucky hire next? Who would you guys like to see Kentucky hire? So, peace. Go Cats.